We were 2 years into marriage when I realized I was the sixth wheel in a 5-person friendship bracelet. I wish that were a metaphor. It's not. Jenna calls them her family, not the legal kind I apparently auditioned for and somehow won, but the worshipped, glitter-covered kind. Lena, the brand strategist who speaks in slogans. Marcus, earnest, allergic to silence. Riley, human siren, if laughter were a knife she could fillet a bluefin. And Derek, optimist, chaos goblin, bartender emeritus. There's a group chat that hums like a beehive at full noon, and it has rules. Rule 1, no heavy vibes on game night. Rule 2, Sundays are sacred. Rule 3, partners welcome, but squad comes first. The words, but squad comes first, look suspiciously like vows. I should know. I stood under flower arches and said my own. Our apartment looks like 2 people live there, 2 mugs, 2 toothbrushes, 2 towels. But our calendar looks like a party bus itinerary with a restraining order against intimacy. Color coding tells the story. Blue for my commitments, pink for hers, yellow for squad. By June, the calendar was a sunflower field. Babe, you wouldn't believe it. Riley locked down a rooftop for Saturday, she said one Tuesday, perched on the kitchen island in gym shorts and a tank top that read, "Vibes are a choice." Saturday, I echoed, flipping a shrimp in the pan. The day after Friday and immediately before Sunday. That Saturday, she smirked. Keep that sarcasm lukewarm. This is the pre-pre for her actual birthday next week. It's important. Important like taxes? Or important like we promised to go see my brother's venue before his wedding? I said. Jenna's smile dipped, then rebounded. Daniel, we'll swing by the venue Sunday morning. Saturday is for making memories. Besides, your brother has literally been engaged since the Bronze Age. I told myself the tone meant nothing. I told myself the calendar was just enthusiastic. You don't notice a leak because your house is suddenly underwater. You notice because your socks are always a little damp. I tried talking first. Revolutionary, I know. Could we do one evening a week? I asked one night. Where it's just us? No phones, no squad, no Derek live blogging his feelings? We were lying in bed. She was scrolling. Her screen threw light over her face like an aquarium. For a moment she looked at me fully. She sat her phone on her chest and nodded. That's fair. Totally fair. Tuesdays? Tuesdays, I said, ridiculous hope ballooning, sound perfect. The first Tuesday, she was late. Lena's brainstorm ran over. The second Tuesday, Derek had a crisis of faith in a blender margarita recipe, but still. The third Tuesday, she texted me from the hallway, picture of Riley's mascara-streaked cheeks. Emergency girl support. Be back by 10 XOXO. She came home at 1 smelling like lime and smoke. Sorry, she whispered, collapsing across me. You know I'd clone myself if I could. I don't want a clone, I said into her hair. I want a wife. She laughed like I had made a joke, and then she fell asleep. Plan B, join the circus. If you can't beat the squad, infiltrate it. I bought a witty game night t-shirt. I paused my game for this. Learned the rules to a deck builder that required the attention span of a monk and the ruthlessness of a tax auditor, and showed up with a cheesecake I didn't bake but plated like a Food Network contestant. Daniel, Marcus boomed, actually relieved to see me. We need your cooperative spirit and your cheesecake. Do we? Riley asked, assessing me as though I were an unproven moisturizer. Because last time your energy was accountant. I am literally an accountant, I said. She gasped. Oh my God, that explains so much. We played something where mushrooms became currency and friendship was weaponized. Lena Liv commented everyone's strategy like she was narrating a cult documentary. Derek made a round of cocktails and named them after inside jokes I didn't get. Every time I looked at Jenna, she was already looking at them. You can be in a room and not be in the room. That night I was a tasteful lamp from West Elm. On the drive home, Jenna was buoyant. See? Fun. You were fun. You should smile more in pictures. You have a whole approachable thing you refuse to deploy. I had a good time, I said, which was true in the way it's true that kale is technically food. But can we also have our time? We do. She patted my knee. We live together. That's the thing about living together. You can share a bed and still be lonely. Then came the parade of small abandonments, which is the only phrase for them. When my mom was having surgery, I sat alone for hours in a depressing waiting room with ugly paintings on the walls and a loud TV. Jenna didn't come. Instead, she sent me 3 selfies from her game night, 2 smiling, 1 with a silly fish face, and finally a "how's it going?" text close to midnight. I almost replied with just a thumbs up emoji, but then I thought, no, even sarcasm has its limits. On the day of my master's graduation, Jenna skipped it to go to Marcus's housewarming party. She posted a boomerang of champagne popping, like it was a big celebration, only it wasn't mine. To me, she sent, "Proud of you," with a confetti gif. And sure, technically that's congratulations, but it felt as empty as diet soda, bubbly on the surface but no real substance. My brother's wedding? She was too exhausted after a 3-day festival where the squad dressed as retro lifeguards and rescued strangers from dehydration by handing out mini water bottles with their Instagram handles taped on. When I told my grandmother why my wife wasn't at the ceremony, the woman who survived war, recession, and 6 sons stared at me like I had just explained quantum physics using only emojis. I cataloged these moments not because I wanted ammunition, but because I wanted to be sure I wasn't crazy. I pivoted again. Plan C, structure. I booked us a weekend away, a cabin with a fireplace, a lake that did not care about influencers, a restaurant that did not serve flights of anything. I emailed her the reservation, the hiking trail map, the menu, no share plates, and a picture of the porch that practically screamed, "Talk to your spouse here." She called me, delighted. "This is adorable." "It's romantic," I corrected. "It's both," she said. "And also, baby, you know Marcus's engagement party is that Saturday, right?" "I do now," I said. "Can we do Sunday night instead?" "Sunday is sacred," she recited. "Brunch, tennis, debrief, it's our ritual." "Hour?" I asked. "Squad hour," she clarified, as if I had inquired whether water was wet. When I didn't respond, she softened. "We'll make it work next month. Promise." Next month developed its own personality and demands. So did the month after that. Our reservation expired. The porch and I never met. By the time our 2nd wedding anniversary loomed, I had stopped scowling at calendars and started ignoring them. I made a plan that didn't require permission, a table at the restaurant where she once told me I made her feel seen, and tickets to a band she'd fallen in love with so hard she made a playlist. The hostess confirmed twice. The tickets were in my sock drawer, the one place in our home that was reliably mine. The morning I was going to tell her, she sat on the couch in a robe, legs tucked under, scrolling through stories of Lena doing yoga with a dog and Derek pretending a ring light is a personality. The room smelled like coffee and lemon cleaner. "Hey," I said, sitting beside her, "I have plans for a Saturday. Our anniversary." She looked up, and for a half second her face went neutral in that way that tells you the brain is loading a script. Then she sighed, slow, theatrical. "Oh, babe." "What?" I asked. "Riley's birthday pregame is Saturday," she said, as if she were reporting an eclipse. "You know I can't miss that." I kept my voice level, like I was negotiating with a customer service bot. "Could you ask if they'll do Friday or Sunday brunch? I'll call the restaurant." "No." She was already shaking her head, hair swiping her shoulders like a metronome. "It's literally the only night everyone can make it. Marcus has that conference Sunday, Lena's stressed with her promotion, Derek just broke up with whoever. They need me. We all need this." "But it's our anniversary," I said, and hated how small it sounded in the room. "That only happens once a year." "You can see me literally any other time," she said, and then she did the thing. arms folded, chin up, moral high ground posture 101. Love can wait, but friendship can't. They were here before you, and they'll be here after. The words hit like cold water down the back of the shirt, the kind that makes your body flinch in one grimace. After. Not if, God forbid, we ever break up. Just after. Like our marriage was penciled in between two recurring events. I stood up because sitting felt too compliant. After? She blinked, surprised I'd picked that word out of the sentence. You know what I mean. I do, I said, and my voice did the thing where it suddenly belongs to a calmer brother I didn't know I had. I do know what you mean. She rolled her eyes. Please don't make this a thing. We can do our anniversary dinner next week, or the week after. We literally live together. Why are you acting like I'm abandoning you on a raft? I could have said a lot of things. About the waiting room, and the boomerangs, and the housewarming, and my brother's don't worry about it smile. About porches we never saw. About Tuesdays that were promises and then punchlines. But she already knew all those things. I'd said them. I'd underlined them. I'd sent them to her in patient paragraphs. She had other literacy. So what am I? I asked. In the squad's narrative, the husband, the Uber, the tasteful lamp? Daniel, she warned, you're being dramatic. I'm being specific, I said. There's a difference. She stood, tightening the belt of her robe like she was preparing to deliver a TED Talk on unreasonable husbands. You knew who I was when we got married. I thought I did, I said, and the calm brother handed my voice back to me. I thought you wanted to build something with me. I do want to build something with you, but not by tearing everything else down, she said. I can't abandon my friends every time you want attention. I wanted one night, I said. One. You're making me feel controlled, she said, and there it was. The nuclear word, glowing in the air like a halo with teeth. I could feel the argument turning into that slow, familiar carousel. Me pointing at the empty seat next to me, her pointing at a crowd and calling it love. Instead of climbing on, I went to the bedroom. In the top drawer of my nightstand was a single sheet of paper I'd been drafting for a week. Bullet points in my careful block letters, then full sentences, then what I actually meant. It was not a breakup letter. It was a clarity letter. It said, I want to be chosen sometimes. I want a marriage with a door that closes and two people inside. I didn't give it to her then. Not yet. Saturday hadn't arrived. I still had tickets in a drawer. Hope is the last coat you hang up, even when the weather app says hurricane. That afternoon, the squad group chat buzzed audibly from across the room. Hive at noon. Jenna smiled at the screen the way people smile at fireworks. I looked at our half-wilted houseplant on the windowsill and thought, absurdly, how is our marriage? When I finally opened my sock drawer to check the tickets, for reassurance, for ritual, the corner of the envelope had a tiny tear. Nothing catastrophic, just enough to feel like a foreshadowing. Babe, Jenna called from the living room without looking up. Don't be mad, okay? But Riley said we should do a pre-game on Friday to save time Saturday. Isn't that hilarious? And right there, between the pre-game and the wilted plant and the envelope with a tired corner, I felt it. The click. The moment a door in your chest unlatches, not because you want it to, but because the hinges have been asking for oil for a year and you keep answering with playlists. Love can wait, she'd said. Unfortunately for us, it already had. Anniversaries are supposed to be checkpoints, right? A moment to stop, breathe, look at your spouse across the table, and remind each other, yes, we're still choosing this. Saturday evening, I put on the shirt she once called my unfair advantage. Apparently, I look good in navy blue, who knew? I came into the living room holding the tickets, only to find Jenna sitting cross-legged on the couch, already dressed in sequins. Sequins. For Riley's birthday pregame. Daniel, she said the moment she saw the envelope in my hand, like she was about to apologize for running over the neighbor's mailbox. Oh no, don't tell me. It's our anniversary, I said simply. I made reservations. The band, you love them. her face contorted into that pained but patronizing expression doctors probably use when they tell you your test results came back interesting. I told you Riley's birthday pregame is tonight. You also told me marriage was important to you, I said. She sighed. Don't make me the bad guy. They were here before you, they'll be here after. Riley only turns 25 once. Yeah, I said, and we only hit 2 years of marriage once. Funny how the math works out. The silence stretched. She shifted in her sequins, looked at me like I was the unreasonable one. Daniel, we live together. We can do our anniversary any night. Anniversary, I repeated, means something because it's today. That's the point. You don't reschedule a wedding after the cake is baked. You don't move Christmas because the squad's brunch looks more fun. She crossed her arms. You're blowing this out of proportion. And that was the exact second I realized. We weren't arguing about one night. We were arguing about the fact that in our marriage, I was forever in 6th place. Behind Lena's stress, Marcus's work events, Riley's birthdays, Derek's heartbreaks, and whatever else the group calendar spit out. The letter that night, I didn't go to Riley's rooftop. I went to the bedroom, opened my drawer, and pulled out the letter I'd been drafting for weeks. Not a goodbye letter, at least not at first. A clarity letter. It said, I need to feel chosen sometimes. Marriage is not supposed to be background noise. If you want a life partner, he can't always be the understudy to your friends. I left it on her nightstand, sealed in an envelope. The next morning, she read it while sipping coffee. Her face moved through surprise, irritation, dismissal, and finally, nothing. She tossed it back on the table like junk mail. You're really threatening me with moving out because I value my friends? She asked, incredulous. I'm not threatening, I said. I'm telling you what's real. I can't stay married to someone who doesn't want to actually be married. You're being dramatic, she snapped. This whole letter reads like, choose me or else. I won't be controlled, Daniel. I rubbed my temples. I'm not asking you to cut them off. I'm asking you to make space for me too. She shook her head. In her eyes, I was the villain in a story where friendship was sacred and husbands were clingy obstacles. I found an apartment 20 minutes away. 1 bedroom, small kitchen, cheap carpet, freedom disguised as beige walls. I started moving things out slowly whenever Jenna was at squad events, which meant I had plenty of opportunities. By Thursday, I had shifted 80% of my life into the new place. That night, she came home at midnight, tipsy from yet another rooftop outing. The first thing she noticed wasn't me, but the missing gaming setup. Daniel? She called, voice climbing octaves as she moved from room to room. What the hell is happening? Where's all your stuff? I was in the bedroom zipping the last duffel. She stood in the doorway, eyes wide, scanning the bare walls. You're moving out? Yes, I said quietly. I handed her the final copy of the letter, updated to remove any hope. I want a partner, Jenna, not a roommate who moonlights as a social media correspondent for her friends. Her eyes glossed, but not with remorse. More like disbelief that I dared disrupt her perfect loop. You're leaving me because I have friends? I'm leaving because I don't have a wife, I said. 3 days later, I was in my new apartment, sitting on a mattress still on the floor, eating Chinese takeout, when my phone exploded. Calls, texts, long paragraphs, from Jenna. We need to talk this through like adults. From Riley, you're breaking up the family. She's devastated. From Derek, bro, you're immature for ghosting instead of working it out. From Marcus, maybe we could all meet up and discuss this reasonably. From Lena, Marissa deserves better than someone who abandons her. Yes, Lena actually typed, abandons her. Because apparently leaving a marriage where I was treated like an afterthought was equivalent to abandoning a golden retriever on the highway. By Monday evening, it escalated. I came home from work to find them, Jenna and the full squad, standing outside my building like an off-brand intervention team. Daniel! Jenna shouted, the unofficial spokesperson. You can't just disappear and ignore everyone. We need to settle this. I raised an eyebrow. Everyone? Funny, I thought I was married to one person, not 5. Marcus tried his mediator tone. We're all part of Jenna's life, man. Leaving her means leaving us. Exactly, Derek added. You hurt all of us. I laughed. Out loud. Right there on the sidewalk. You're telling me divorcing my wife is the same as divorcing her brunch club? Jenna's eyes flashed. Riley actually pulled out her phone to record the moment, like she was producing a reality show. Lena sniffled dramatically. Marcus kept insisting we could find middle ground. I gave them 30 seconds to leave. They didn't. So I called building security. 5 minutes later, a guard in a navy jacket walked out and asked them to disperse. They sulked away, Jenna shouting over her shoulder, "This isn't over!" I stood there in the lobby, holding a bag of lukewarm Chinese noodles, thinking, no, Jenna, for me, it's already over. Freedom smells like cheap paint and cardboard boxes. My new apartment wasn't much to look at. White walls that begged for personality, carpet the texture of sandpaper, and a kitchen that came pre-installed with the faint smell of burnt popcorn. But it was mine. No squad calendars pinned on the fridge. No group chat buzzing at 2 a.m. No sequins blocking the anniversary dinner. I started rediscovering what weekends looked like when they didn't belong to 5 other people. Dinner with an old college friend, a movie marathon without someone demanding live commentary for Instagram, even just sitting on my balcony with a beer and no agenda. Turns out that feels like vacation when you've been trapped in someone else's social circus for years. The irony? I wasn't lonely. I had more time to actually reconnect with the friends I'd unintentionally neglected during my marriage. It hit me. Jenna's obsession with community had made me isolated. Now that I was alone, I wasn't alone at all. Word travels faster than Wi-Fi when it comes to drama. My buddy Jake, who works with Marcus, started feeding me updates. Think of him as my unofficial war correspondent in the squad civil war. First casualty? Marcus. He got engaged to his girlfriend, Emma. The kind of woman who thinks grown adults shouldn't spend every Sunday playing board games with people they met in college. Emma started pushing Marcus to set boundaries. And to everyone's shock, Marcus listened. He started skipping group hangouts, didn't answer every text, declined their annual beach trip because he was visiting Emma's parents. Apparently, Jenna lost it. According to Jake, she hissed at him. You're becoming just like Daniel. Yes, I'd become a cautionary tale. Imagine that. Choosing your marriage over a drinking game makes you a bogeyman. Then came Lena. She landed a promotion that required her to relocate to Portland. Real life, real opportunity, actual adulting. But instead of cheering, Jenna scolded her for abandoning the family. Because in Jenna's world, ambition is betrayal if it doesn't come with a squad group photo. Lena was hurt. And judging by Jake's tone, she started pulling away too. And then there was the time bomb, Riley and Derek. They'd been circling each other for years in a not-so-secret will they, won't they mess. Turns out they finally did. Officially dating. Good for them, terrible for the squad dynamic. Suddenly Jenna was worried about what happens if they break up. Because heaven forbid she lose 2 drinking buddies at once. So while I was out there living a simple, drama-free life, Jenna was watching her empire crumble. The very thing she'd chosen over our marriage was cracking like cheap glass. Somewhere in all this, I met Sarah. We bumped into each other at a bookstore, which already sounds like the opening line of a rom-com, except neither of us was holding a quirky novel. We were both standing in the coffee section pretending we didn't live on caffeine. Sarah was different, grounded, funny in a dry way. She had close friends, but she also believed in the radical concept of boundaries. When we had dinner, she left her phone in her purse. When I cracked a sarcastic joke, she laughed without needing to record it for 20 strangers. After 2 years of competing with the human version of a group chat, it felt like being upgraded from dial-up to fiber optic. We weren't rushing anything. It was just dinners, walks, late-night talks, but it felt like something real, something Jenna had convinced me didn't exist. And then, like clockwork, Jenna reappeared. The first text came out of nowhere after months of silence. "Hey, I know things ended badly. Maybe we could grab coffee sometime? I feel like we both said things we didn't mean." I stared at my phone for a full minute. Coffee. Right. The same woman who skipped my graduation and my anniversary now wanted a latte summit. I didn't reply. The next day, I know I made mistakes. I was young. I didn't understand balance. I've been learning. Maybe we could try again? I showed the texts to Jake. He laughed so hard he almost spilled his beer. "Translation," he said. "Her friend group is imploding, and suddenly she remembers husbands exist." He wasn't wrong. Timing is everything. Jenna never texted when the squad was thriving, when she was drowning in rooftop bars and themed parties. She texted when Marcus was pulling away, Lena was moving, and Riley and Derek were too busy dating each other to stroke her ego. I thought about it, I'll admit. Not about actually going back, but about whether she'd changed. But then I remembered, I spent 2 years begging her to understand my needs. I sent letters, I gave speeches, I compromised until I was a shadow. She never listened. Now suddenly she got it? Number. That wasn't growth. That was desperation. So I didn't answer. I didn't owe her a coffee date, or a second audition, or another chance to make me 6th place. Divorce doesn't look like the movies. There's no gavel slam, no cinematic music. It's a stack of papers slid across a table, a pen that runs out of ink halfway through, and a clerk who looks like they'd rather be anywhere else. When Jenna first got the notice, she called me 6 times in one afternoon. "Daniel, don't do this. We can fix it. Let's go to counseling. Let's try again." I told her calmly, "Jenna, we're not partners. We're roommates with different calendars, and I'm not spending another year waiting for you to notice I exist." She accused me of giving up too soon. Too soon, after 2 years of marriage and 2 years of competing with a friend group that acted like my in-laws on steroids. Too soon, after anniversaries ignored, surgeries skipped, and graduation reduced to a GIF. If that's too soon, I'd hate to see long enough. By the time the papers were finalized, I didn't even feel relief. Just quiet. Like finally shutting off a machine that had been humming in the background for so long, I forgot silence existed. Weeks later, Sarah and I were at an Italian place downtown. Red wine, pasta that actually tasted like someone's grandmother made it. We were laughing about something stupid when I saw them. Jenna, Riley, and Derek at a corner table. Marcus and Lena were missing, predictably off living their adult lives. Our eyes met. For a moment, she froze like a deer on a highway. Then she gave me a small wave. "Everything okay?" Sarah asked, catching my sudden stiffness. "Yeah," I said. "Just my ex." We kept eating, but as we were leaving, Jenna intercepted us near the door. "Daniel," she said quickly, nervously. "Just a minute?" Sarah squeezed my hand. "I'll wait by the car." She gave me a smile that said, "Handle your past, I'll be here in the present." Jenna looked different, tired, maybe just older. The sequins were gone. She was in a plain sweater that made her look more human, less glitter. "I know you haven't responded to my texts," she began, "and I understand why, but I just wanted to say, you were right, about balance, about priorities, about everything." I stayed quiet. I see Marcus and Emma, how they treat each other. I realize I never gave that to you. I see Lena moving on, Riley and Derek pairing off, and I feel left behind. And I finally get it. You wanted a partner, and I never gave you one. I'm sorry, Daniel. I really am. It was the first time she'd ever said it without qualifiers, without excuses, without blaming me. And for half a second, I almost felt that old pull, the conversations we used to have before the squad swallowed her whole. But then I remembered the waiting room, the GIF, the anniversary ticket still folded in an envelope with a torn corner. "I appreciate you saying that," I said evenly, "but it doesn't change anything. We're divorced, Jenna. That chapter's closed. Her eyes flicked to Sarah waiting in the parking lot, then back to me. She gave a sad little smile. She seems lovely. I hope she knows what she has. She does, I said, because I made sure to choose someone who actually knows how to choose me back. She nodded, stepped aside, and let me walk past. No screaming, no scene. Just a tired wave goodbye that felt a year too late. The squad didn't survive long without its glue. Marcus got married and disappeared into domestic life. Lena thrived in Portland, too busy for late-night rooftop selfies. Riley and Derek eventually broke up, and the fallout was messy enough that neither showed up to Sacred Sundays again. The group chat went silent. Jenna was left with echoes. The same woman who once told me friends were here before you and will be here after, discovered that even friendships fade when real life starts knocking. As for me, I didn't just move apartments. I moved into a life where dinners meant conversation, not content. Where anniversaries were celebrated on the actual date. Where love wasn't something you squeezed between other people's crises. Sarah and I aren't perfect, but we choose each other. Every day. And after what I went through, that choice feels like the only thing that really matters. So, what did I learn? That marriage isn't a side quest. It's the main story. And if someone can't see that, better to sign the papers, shut the door, and start a new chapter where you're finally more than sixth place.
If you felt this story hit hard, drop a like, subscribe for more, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support keeps Steelheart beating.